Alex, tell me a little about yourself.
30 years old, been homeless for about 6 months now. So live in a tent currently. Other than that, I don't know what else to say exactly.
What's the experience been like for you compared to, what you thought of what it would be like to be homeless before you became homeless for the first time?
Well, I always I kind of always looked down on homelessness, to be honest with you. I always had a job. I was always working. I never didn't have a place to, I never was not able to support myself until COVID happened, and then my whole work was just gone. And when that happened, then I had to pretty much adapt, and then kind of definitely widens your whole viewpoint on the whole thing. I look down on it as oh, these are people that are just fucking giving up. You're quitting, right? You don't want to do anything. You're just you're content. And I've learned it's not always like that. It is a little different. Sometimes you're kind of not totally forced into it, but it's just you can become a victim of circumstance in a way, and that can just lead to that. So it's definitely widened my whole gaze on the whole thing, so I don't look down on people like I used to in that way.
Remember you were telling me with your wife Corrine about sort of the sense of community you guys experienced homeless compared to when you were when you had a place of your own in DC.
Yeah.
What's that been like?
Yeah, it's weird. So you would think that when people are in an apartment or whatever, in a home, right, and you have neighbors and everything, you would think that that would be something there would be some kind of community there or anything. And I've never experienced that really. I've had friends with neighbors that were friends or whatever, and go hang out, whatever. But it's here when you're homeless, there's kind of this whole, we look out for each other because we have to, because there's no choice. It's if we don't look out for each other, everything's gonna be far worse for everyone. But here there's this sense of community where it's if somebody comes by and they drop off, say, a package with a bunch of sandwiches in it, right? No one's gonna just take that and hold on to it. They're gonna take it and they're gonna give it out to everybody. When volunteers show up with stuff, I'll walk them around to everybody's tent to make sure that people get stuff.
Tell me about the Thanksgiving event again.
Oh my God. All right, so Thanksgiving was extreme. So it's people, so on Thanksgiving, it's they want to be giving and everything, you're thankful, whatever, so let's give, right? And that's nice and everything, right? It's awesome. The thing is, it's people need to start looking at that as not just a one-day thing. Look at it as maybe I could do this a week later. Instead, we had one day where 30 people showed up and dropped me off a thing of food, dropped her off a thing of food. So now we have 60 trays of food in one day, right? Which means
do you have a giant freezer to store that in somewhere? Or?
Obviously not. We're homeless. So it's there's it's gonna go bad, man. We tried eating it all. I ate so much that night I threw up. Just because we're not used to having food like that. So people brought it. It's so you just you kind of glutton out and just eat everything, and then it didn't work out well for me.
Your stomach, you said it got sick?
Oh, I got sick as hell. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning and just threw up everywhere. It was horrible. But honestly, I don't think that was the food. I think it was the way too much food that I was eating, because I'm not used to having all that much. So, when it's given like that, you're kind of just and you're kind of overwhelmed in a way, and you just go for it. And on top of that, I know that if I don't eat this, it's going to go bad. I've got 2 or 3 days, maybe, right? Good thing is it's a little cooler out now. So I have maybe 3 or 4, but really, are you going to eat anything after 5 days of not being in a refrigerator?
No.
Nah, you probably wouldn't do it after 3, right?
No, I'd be like a squirrel, stuffing myself for winter or something like
which is what
Trying to pack in as much as I can.
Exactly what
Calories as I can.
exactly what we try and do. We actually that's a factor that we do sometimes when we only have, say, $3 or $4 between me and my wife. So we got $3 or $4. Okay, we're hungry, so we got $3 or $4. What can we go get? Right now we know we can go get, a couple taquitos at 7-Eleven, something like that, right? But we have to think of, all right, what's the most calories? What's actually going to carry me through? And it's funny because I wasn't actually thinking that way at the first, but my wife was. So she immediately was like, we need to get the most calories we can. So it's like, all right, what do we do? And then it's like, oh, chicken McGriddles. Like, cheap, and we get a lot of calories. So like, you kind of have to like figure that out, because otherwise you're going to go hungry. You're going to get really, really emaciated looking if you don't have food all the time. Like when I was homeless here in DC, homelessness is actually I'm not gonna say easier, but in a way it is. DC does actually look after their homeless population a lot better than other cities I've been in. So I was homeless in Boston, I was homeless in New York, I've been homeless here. And I've moved down. I know it's only been 6 months, but I had to move a little bit. So
in the last 6 months, you've been homeless in all 3.
Yes.
For the first time in your life.
Yep.
Wow.
And for a second in Mexico City, which was interesting.
You'll tell me that later.
Yeah, it was like a hot second in Mexico City. But here though, like in New York, man, there was we met other homeless people, right? And we went to the shelter, everything like that. I went to Bellevue, which is where I know it's known as like a hospital, big insane asylum, all that. Bellevue, you've heard of it, right? In New York, Bellevue. You've never heard of Bellevue? All right.
From the West Coast, dude.
Oh, okay. So it's like New York's that was way back in the day. It was like an insane asylum and stuff, and it's a big hospital. It's huge. It's 10 blocks long. It's very big. And there they also do the intakes for, people that are homeless or need help with stuff, right? You go in through there and you have to go through all this process, and then when you do, they'll help you out with either getting you in a shelter or a place to stay, whatever it is, right? Only problem that we experienced was I had my ID, but my wife had lost her ID when we were homeless in Boston. So we had our marriage certificate and everything like that. We had pictures of our IDs, all that, or a picture of her ID. I had my ID, and they pretty much just said, "Oh, you don't have your ID. We can't help you." It's like, "Oh well, what do we do then?" It's like, "Go get your ID." It's like, "Well, we're not from here," and we were kind of just stuck at that point, which is why we ended up leaving eventually. But also, we met other homeless people who tried. The good thing, that's the other thing. So, you're saying, the homeless community, we look after each other. We really do. So, other homeless people will help hook you up with resources if you don't know about them. So, if you don't know where to get food and you're homeless and you come up and you, bro, I'm hungry. I'm homeless, man. Another person would, if they're homeless, they're going to say, all right, man, look, there's this place that gives out this time. There's this place that does this, and they'll kind of hook you up with where to go. In New York, when we talked to people about that, there was one place in Manhattan that you could go, and it was once a week for a meal. Other than that, I didn't find another soup kitchen or another place that was giving out anything. Maybe they exist, maybe they don't. I don't know. I didn't have a phone or anything because I'm homeless and poor, so I don't have one. And I was just told this by all the other homeless people, so it was cool. The thing is, over there, you also go thirsty. Is a weird thing. Getting water is that was the biggest struggle there. Being hungry sucked. I ate out of trash cans and shit,
Yeah.
which really fucked up my stomach. I found a tuna sandwich one time. Don't ever eat tuna. It's a bad idea, man. My wife hates tuna, so she was just here. And I was all right, cool. Oh,
She knew,
it was so bad the next day, man. It was so bad. Oh god, that was painful. But the weird thing is in New York, man, it's at least in Manhattan, not all the boroughs, but Manhattan specifically. I was in Chelsea and I was all over. I went all the way up to Central Park, back, all over that area. And the only place I could get water, normally, was Central Park. the water fountain.
Like dip a cup in the water fountain, or?
No, like they have little water fountains, right? Like a normal water fountain.
Yeah, just like water fountain.
Normal water fountain. But the thing is, Central Park is like one place. If you're 50 blocks that way, like I walked 50 blocks before to get there for water, and like I can do that. Luckily, I'm 30 years old and I can walk, but like what if you're older, man, and homeless? Like you're kind of just like screwed. And like I think I had maybe two Starbucks give me water, which was awesome. I feel like Starbucks really does help the homeless more than a lot of other places, man. I've found that people for some reason at Starbucks have been like the friendliest. They'll help you, they'll let you use the bathroom even if they're not supposed to sometimes. They'll give you water, But in Manhattan, it was kind of like they still needed like approval. Like they'd be like, ask their man, can I give them water? And like I got like 2 cups of water, I think, in a week and a half from them. Other than that, I was just walking around trying to get a bathroom to use so I could also drink the water out of their faucet because I couldn't get water anywhere else. And like what you said about homeless people looking out for other homeless people, we were walking through Chelsea, right, one day, and while walking down, this homeless guy who's outside of this one store, like, he asks for money, right? Me and my wife, we try and, even though we are homeless, we don't want to appear homeless, if that makes any sense. Like I try and make sure I'm wearing different clothes every so often, right? I try and make sure they're clean or not, visibly dirty. Good thing is, here there's a lot of donations, so like I've been able to do that. Like everything you see on me has been donated to me. I've bought none of this. It has all been donated to me. Everything. I got a North Face, cool, right? I got dude, like the cool thing is, man, here in DC they really do donate cool shit. So like I have more name brand clothing now that I'm homeless than I did before. And so does my wife. It's actually a funny thing. She talks about it all the time. She's like, I have a better wardrobe now, just from donations on that point. But like,
how do the donations? Do they come physically to your tent or a volunteer or something, or do they say we have a?
They'll come like that sometimes. I mean, a lot of the clothes we first had to acquire were acquired from a church down a Presbyterian church over New York and H Street where that meets. It's actually the church that Abraham Lincoln went to.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. There's like a plaque outside and everything, so it's all about it. That was the church he visited. So that church actually is very helpful. They give out meals 7 days a week from 11 to 1 p.m., right? On Sundays, they give out a little bit of a bigger meal, and they also open up this one little part where they'll help people that, like, you come up and be like, hey man, I need some clothes, I need a shirt, I need this. They'll go in the back, they'll look through their donations, and they'll give you clothing if they have it. So they do this thing also on Sundays where they give out the clothing, right, between 11 to 1. You go over and you ask about it and they'll help you out. You know, you have to get in lines. Their lines are long, but like you can get through it and you can get stuff. Also, that church is cool where they do a thing where you can sign up for like a shower or to do laundry during the week. You have to obviously make an appointment, but you're able to do that, right? So that's pretty cool. There's also another church, Georgetown Ministries over there in Georgetown, right off Wisconsin, that actually you can schedule showers, you can schedule doing laundry, and they do the laundry for you. You drop it, you bring it there, and you wait, and they just do it for you because COVID. You know, they don't let people really, you know, COVID has made a lot of things very hard for everyone. Obviously, I'm homeless, but like, you know.
Do you think that's the cause there?
Of a lot of homelessness right now? Yeah. Are you kidding? Yeah, man. I mean, like, if we look at a picture, man, like if we were to just go, obviously people maybe don't take pictures of that area where my stuff is, right, all the time, but I guarantee you that Google does, right? Google Maps does it all the time. They roll by with that van, right? If you were to go back and see what it looked like before COVID, how many tents? Look at it now. Or look at it a month ago, right? When it was still warm. Now it's getting a little colder, so like people are starting to migrate a little bit down south. I guarantee you homelessness is gonna get worse down there because people literally, like, we were planning on going. We were planning on going to New Orleans.
Or South Carolina.
I was gonna go to Louisiana, honestly. I have family in Florida, but like I wanted to. I've never been to New Orleans, so I was like, I'm gonna be homeless, man. I might as well go check it out. All right. But yeah, no, a lot of people are starting to hit down south because it's getting too cold to be out here. You know, the only thing is this is where I grew up. You know, this has always been my town. So like, I have like a reluctance, kind of, I guess, to leaving. On top of that, I know the resources here. You know, I don't know the resources in other places, and I've experienced that the resources in some other cities are quite inadequate. They're not enough for me to be able to have me and my wife be at the greatest point comfortable, but like we're usually not. So like at least just like okay, right? You know what I mean? Like just to be okay. Like here, there's so many resources that help with the whole like eating and clothes and all that stuff, and like drop off blankets, so you know, help out like that, which is cool. But like in other places I've experienced, it's not always like that, you know, and like I don't really want to take the gamble with my family, you know.
New York and Boston, much more difficult there than
New York was far more difficult in a way. Oh yeah, that was one thing I was starting to say, but I think that happened. In New York, man, I remember we were walking through Chelsea one day, and like you said about the whole homeless thing, homeless people look out for other homeless people, right? We're walking by, and like I told you, we try and look not homeless. So a lot of times people do ask us for money and stuff like that, because like we're around homeless people because we are homeless, but the people that don't know us don't know that. So like they look at me and they'll be like, oh, good jacket, good shoe, all right, hey man, you got some money, you know, can you spare some, you know? And I'm just like, dude, I live in that tent, you know, like, and then they're like, oh, you know. But like one day in New York, we were walking down in Chelsea, and this like old homeless dude, you know, long hair, gray hair, and just, you know, just you could tell. And he's like, you know, asked me where my, looks at us, he's like, hey guys, like, can you spare a couple dollars, you know, anything? How about a homeless? And we looked and we said, man, we're homeless. Like, we don't have anywhere to go. We don't even know where we're staying now. You know, like, we are homeless as well. And he immediately goes into his pocket, pulls out money, and gave us $7. Wow. And that's a homeless dude. Think about it. He only had I think he had $30. You know.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's from him working panhandling, but I don't care what anybody says. You could say that's just asking for handouts, but at the same time, that's work. You think that's just, it's not like it's work physically extenuating to hold a sign, but like, do you know how much it hurts your pride?
Yeah.
How much you have to like, you just feel less than. On top of that, women can't even panhandle. My wife can't hold a fucking sign over here, because if she does, people come up and proposition her for sex all day. It's disgusting. Women can't panhandle, man. I didn't know that before I was homeless. I've learned that since I've been homeless. It's so much harder for them than it is for us. Like it sucks being homeless for everyone, but like them, it's like they become sexual targets by everyone. Homeless and not homeless, you know? They can't let people know where they sleep. Can't let them know where their tent is. Can't let anybody know that, because they will just come in at you at night. And guess what? You're a woman. You're not physically powerful enough to stop them. And they might be drunk. It might be anything. And they come in there and they take it. And the fucked up thing is, when my wife did panhandle before me, she was homeless one other time. She was like, I can't do it. Because it's so degrading. It's horrible. And it's not degrading just to hold a sign. It's degrading that when she holds a sign that people walk up, or no, they drive up, either say, hey, I'll give you $5 or $10, suck my dick, right? Or they drive up and their dick is already out, and they'll be jacking off looking at them. It's fucked up, but it happens more than you would think, man. So much more than you would think. That's why I almost wish she was here to tell you about this, but like, seriously, that's real. Happens all, dude. I've met some women I've met that are homeless. Like, you know, it's just like, if you looked at them, you'd be like, I would never touch that, right? They still get propositioned, like, and like just as disrespectfully. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know if it's just the male-female thing, or if it's I don't know what it is, man. But like you know, once again, it's like people look down on homelessness, right? Just like I told you, I used to look down on people like that because I was like, you know what? You just gave up. You quit. You ain't trying to do shit. You just quit. You gave up. Okay? You're content. That's what I used to think. It's not what I think now. Because I've been here now. And I've seen it. I'm not content. I've been trying to find every job I can. I try and work everything I can, and I have. Any job that comes to me, I work it. That's the only way we got out of New York. We were randomly walking down the street, and a guy offered me a job, and I took it immediately to get us back here. You know, where I knew there was stuff that like could help us.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I mean, I honestly, I feel worse. I feel so much worse for the women population that are homeless than the male, because like they have to like, it's a whole new level with them, man.
Yeah, I started to get really angry when you started talking about that. Tell me about the woman on the bench that sleeps next to your tent.
Oh, you mean the one that the guy comes by all the time and hits her? Yeah. Oh. Oh my God. It's exactly. That's just another example of how, you know, homelessness sucks, but like women are super exploited in homelessness. Like they're just treated like the lowest, like treated worse than you would treat your dog. You know what I mean? Worse than that. You know what I mean? Like it's literally it's that bad, and it's sad.
You know,
like
this is the United States of America. You think people would have more, you know, respect for each other? And
you would hope. And the real thing is, you would hope that you know, the people that are paid to protect us, like police, would be here to help us. You know, not help us like get me an apartment. Help us as in when I call and I say, this man is beating this woman on a bench. And there's multiples of us that are watching it. Poor thing, the woman is mentally, what would you call it? She has mental health issues.
Yeah, mentally sick.
Yeah, she has mental health issues, and because of that, she kind of lacks the ability to really stand up for herself. On top of that, being scared of the guy. So like, she's not gonna like, you know. But like, if we call, first of which, police are gonna take about 30 minutes to show up. So let's hope he's stuck around, right? Which more than likely, he hasn't, because like you said, homeless people look out for each other. So every guy that stayed over there's been multiple times where we have chased him all the way down the street. He locked himself in CVS a week ago. Locked the doors, wouldn't let customers in. He don't work there. Police did end up coming for that. But police, when it's like homeless shit, they really don't care. I mean, who are you? You know, they look at you like, once again, they look down upon you because of the fact that you're homeless. Who are you, man? They think of this. You don't pay taxes. You have no influence. Nothing will happen if I don't help you. So fuck it, I'm not going to. And they don't. And they'll just leave. Man, like 2 to 3 days ago, I chased that guy down the street. You know, because he'll come over and he just starts like, and the thing is, he's also mentally messed up. You know, he has mental health issues too, which is why he keeps coming by and messing with her in that way. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I mean, there's only so much we can do. You know, like I guess I could, you know, we could take it into our own hands, but then, you know, I'm breaking the law. And it's like, well, then the law should maybe help me, or help us, help her.
That was one of the things that really surprised me when we first talked the other day, where you said police, it's just that you said the look in their face, like they just don't care. And
Nope.
I mentioned how the homeless community, you know, experiences way more crime on average than, you know, the rest of us. And you're still American citizens, and
we report it is the thing.
And you basically just looked at me like I was naive, or you're like, what, you know, you're like, how old are you, or something like that.
That was exactly what I asked you. Was how old were you?
But they're the police, like they're supposed to help, you know. Like,
And isn't that so? That's why I asked how old are you, because the reason I asked that was not to be insulting or to, you know, talk down to you in any way. It was literally to just be like, bro, how old, like, and it's really more like an age thing. It's more like, you know, life experience, where like Not to say in 24 years you can't go through an insane amount of life experience. You can.
No,
I mean,
man,
like,
I grew up,
bro, I've been through.
Yeah, I told you I grew up in California in the suburbs. I had a very, protected life in childhood.
Yeah. Which is what gives you also the idea that, police are actually here to like really like, and like that is their purpose, what you think, but what you think they actually do and what they do isn't the same. Like, it's not like TV. It's nothing like that. I even told you an example of when my house got kicked in and my doors got kicked in, and I knew who did it. I reported everything to police, called them, had a whole thing go down, had a case, everything, right? Then found the guy with my stuff in the house that he was in. Called them and said, my stuff is here, the guy is here. Nothing happened. They didn't come. They didn't even come.
That just confuses me and would bother me so much.
And that was when I wasn't homeless. So, like, think about what they do with us, man. Like, I honestly, like, police just, they make you lose all faith in everything, like, when it comes to that, man. And on top of that, if you've ever been in the criminal justice system, right? Like, has nothing to do with homelessness, but I've been locked up before for a couple of years, and like, once you've been in there, man, it's like it's honestly, it's our whole structure. Homelessness is like the tip of the iceberg. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to look at everything else that's messed up, man, it's like everything in America, man. Our justice system, the way we do everything, man, it's all fucked up. It's designed to keep you there, to keep you down, and by keep you down, I mean the poor people. Rich people pay for lawyers and they get out. They're fine. The poor people, they keep you in there. Do you know what happens when a judge says, I'm gonna give you this much time, but I'm gonna spend it all, right? So say you get sentenced 15 years, right? Shit, 15 years. All right, but you only gotta serve a year and a half right now. Be like, oh, all right, just a year and a half. And they say, but when you get out, I'm gonna put you on 5 years of probation. All right, so for people that now get out, that have a felony now on their record, right? It's hard to you can't get a job. You can't really get shit. You can't rent an apartment. I can't rent a fucking apartment. Don't matter how much I made. I used to make over $100,000 a year. I couldn't rent an apartment. Okay? Just because of that shit. And this was from like when I was 19. Still won't let me, right? I'm 30. But like, that was then. But it's like, they'll put you on 5 years of probation. And literally, the funny thing is, every person that I knew that was like, older or like had been in this for a while, they all tell me the same thing.
Keep talking.
They say, oh man, they just give you enough rope to hang yourself.
I heard a former felon said on YouTube said, it just feels like the system doesn't want you anymore.
Nope, it doesn't.
Like,
it wants.
It's like you've messed up, and now it's.
Not only that, does it not want you? It wants you to now be a paycheck. I know. Do you get what that means?
Are you speaking about like privately owned prisons?
Yeah, like most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, you are a paycheck, and they look for a way to keep you in there longer. Is the funny thing. Like certain prisons actually give their COs incentive to write up the inmates, because that keeps them there longer. You lose good time. You stay longer, and the longer you stay, the longer they cash in a check. Like the funny thing is, so DC, right? It's 2 jails. There's 2 jails in DC.
How do you stop from just feeling bitter towards
everything?
I feel like if I went through these chain of events and I started to get disillusioned, I would just become so bitter towards just like society. How do you keep like a positive mindset in that?
Well, do you remember how I told you that I really like traveling and I like to experience other cultures and other places?
Yeah.
The reason for that is because when I did that, and honestly, my viewpoint, I knew what I know now, kind of. And, well, not what I know now, but I kind of knew a lot of this stuff, right, when I was a little bit younger. But I didn't really get to understand that it doesn't have to be that way until I left the country. And I got to see what other countries do. And I got to see how it is with other laws and other, things in place. Like I got to see kind of how it could be different and how people can actually be happy. You know what I mean? Like I saw people with so much less that are just so much happier. You know what I mean? Like there's just so much more content. Like it's just like, you know, life is good. You know, and it's like they have like nothing. You know? And it's just like life is good, man. You know? Because things are structured that way. Here though, I mean, in DC, man, when you meet someone, first question is, what's your name? Second question is, what do you do? Not who are you? You know, what are your interests? What are your hobbies? You know, what kind of person are you? What do you do? What's your job? Is what they're asking you. And it's just like, you know, just shows how we are, man. We're structured, honestly, everything, I feel like everything is just structured towards, it's all cash, man. It's all for money here, man. It's corrupt as hell, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, the whole thing is fucked up. Honestly, man.
I mean, I don't expect you to have, I don't know myself, but can you think of a way we can start moving in a better direction, or have you thought about that at all, or? I don't expect you to.
I mean, I feel like
how do we
the sad part is this. So it's almost like any empire, right? Any empire that's come to become a superpower, right? That's what we call ourselves. Just like Rome would have been considered a superpower. Greeks would have been considered that, right? So different places would have been considered that throughout time. The problem is every empire falls, right? Throughout history. They all fall eventually. We're gonna get there. We aren't gonna maintain this anymore, man. Like in 50 years from now, I don't see America being up there anymore, man.
You know what's funny with all the political volatility in the country? I hear more and more people saying like, "Oh, when's the Civil War coming?" or like, "When's the collapse coming?"
The revolution.
Yeah, exactly. There's a revolution coming.
That's what we're waiting for. We're all waiting for it. And the thing is, we're waiting for people to stand up, people to say this isn't right anymore. So the problem with it is even though I've mentioned all these problems, right? The reason I won't stand up is because if I do, I'm by myself. And I'll stand up alone. And I'll be silenced, as many people have been before me, in any way of incarcerating me, killing, whatever it is, right? So the thing is now, it's almost like a scare tactic. like people don't want to stand up to it because, you know, they don't have the backup. Like we all just stood up at the same time and said, this shit is wrong. Fix it. Shit would have to be fixed. Right? That's a fucking revolution. That's how you do it. The thing is, I don't know, man. We don't, like, it's just not happening right now. But like, do I see it happening in the future? I mean, I don't know how much more of this we can take. I mean, look at who our president just was. Not to say people don't agree with that. I mean, whatever. Like, you know, you can love Trump if you want to, but like, you know, it just shows the way our whole country has gone.
Yeah.
You know? Like, we literally got to such a fuck it in America of like, this just doesn't work anymore. Then we went, yo, this guy with no political experience whatsoever will be the head of politics. It was just like, huh? like, bro, I went to the night of the election, I went to sleep. I was a manager of a nightclub back then, a beautiful apartment on U Street, right? Doing great. I went to sleep early because I had strep throat. I remember I had like 102 fever. Like, I went to bed and I was just like, I don't need to watch this shit. We know who's gonna win, right? How the hell is he, you know? And then I woke up in the morning and I was like, typed into Google, like, and they said it. And I was like, huh? Type it in again. Went to CNN, I went to all these different things and they all said the same shit. And I was just like,
it felt like a different moment at that point.
Yeah, I was like, what happened?
Like a new reality.
Completely, right? It was like, it's just a shift. And it was just like, huh? And then like, it was just like, literally every like couple of days, he just came up with some new shit that like people were just like, huh? And then like every other week, it was somebody going, yo, he gonna get impeached for this shit. He gonna get impeached for that. He made it. The whole 4 years, man. Nothing happened to him. And it's just like, I don't know, it just shows you another like example of how this country is just, we've gone down, man. Like, we're not doing what we should do to help our, you know, citizens and to make it a good place to live.
I mean, that's the sense I've gotten as well, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing these, these documentaries and these interviews, is to figure out, how we can change things firsthand.
Oh.
That's why I asked you, not expecting you to have any
Yeah, actual plan on it. Yeah, obvious.
I haven't heard anyone say anything.
No, because it's actually such a grand problem. It's such a huge fucking issue, right? That it's literally just going against our entire society. It's like you need to literally restructure like everything, like everything kind of has to be like redone in a way. Like we need to look at it differently. We need to stop being where the people that are in control, that are controlling everything, are all rich. Okay, they don't know shit. They're not like normal American people. Let's be real. They're not. Okay, they're corrupt a lot of times. They're taking deals on the side and shit. They're getting kickbacks, right? They're doing things for themselves, man. And the thing is, like, that's not the point of government. The point of government is to do things for the people.
Yeah,
but corruption is hard to fight because it's almost like a human nature thing, man. Like to want better for you than you do want for me.
Yeah, to look out for yourself. And
envy, anything, greed, gluttony, all these things. Like it's
The sort of the paradox for me is that I still believe in the Constitution and like our founding principles and freedom.
Oh, I think those are great. No.
In America, like I love that so much.
Our founding shit is totally gone on point. Keep that. I'm not saying leave that. It's where we've branched off from there is the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all things that we've done from there, and then the people that we've allowed to become in power that then, spin things in a way, and then do. It's just like we've just branched off so far from there that we're so far beyond it. I feel like the founding fathers would see this shit and be like, yo, are you like big slap the president? Get the fuck out of here, man. What are you doing? Like this is not what they fought for, man. But once again, man, I really like everything, all these problems, all these things. I feel like it all comes back to money, man. It's all about money in the end. Why are the people getting locked up like that? And then there's so many issues there, man. Back to homelessness though, it sucks.
Yeah, that's what it's such a big topic. I'm almost trying to steer away from it because I
get it.
We would be sitting here for like 6 hours.
Exactly, because it's just like there's just so much that's needs to be changed and fixed, and it's just like it's almost such a daunting task. It's so huge that people. That's also why people don't want to even address it. It's more like
Why people what?
Don't want to address it.
Oh, address it.
More like ignorance is bliss. Just leave it be. Let it go. It's okay.
Yeah,
you're
what
fine.
are we talking about? There's no problem.
Bro, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah. But let's get back to the homelessness and just
Yep.
one thing that out of the homeless people I've spoken to and sort of like quasi interviewed is you and your wife are sort of especially like I think lucid or like very present compared to a lot of homeless people. They're a lot of them are, I'm not saying all of them, but a very large fraction of them are either have some kind of addiction or some kind of mental health issue. You try to interview them and they skip around topics. It's like you can't get them to focus on.
Yeah.
So kind of talk about I think you guys said you used to have addiction or something, and
oh, I mean that was long ago, man. That has absolutely nothing to do with my homelessness. Is the thing. That was when I was a teenager.
No, not that, but how I think you said that you can take homelessness as you can take this current situation as a way to weaken you and sort of like spiral downward into addiction.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. No, yeah. Well, I mean, it's like being depressed and homeless and fucked up like that, and then being like, seeing it as like almost an impossible task to get out of, right? Which it isn't. It's totally a thing that you can, and I plan to. I'm not gonna stay like this, but like the thing is, it's just so messed up, right? That like, if you've already had a problem with addiction at all, I mean, it's like your comfort. It's what you'll run back to a lot of times. Luckily, we have not, and but I've seen a lot of people also that like are homeless that, like you said, a lot of it is mental health is funny. A lot, not funny, but like it's true. Like a lot of people that I've met, many, probably 80, 75%, 80% have some kind of mental health problem. And I feel like the real issue is that it's not being addressed by, the people that are supposed to take care of it, man. Like our government. Like there's a whole sector for mental health. And like they come out and they do try. It's like, but a lot of the people that are out there, man, they're out there because of mental health. Like there's hardly a night that I go by, like I told you last night, I'm just listening to a person scream all night at nobody. I'm talking about at like the voices in their head. Like it's a full conversation, but you only hear half of it because nobody can hear the other half but her. You know what I mean? And like that's one night. And then like honestly, we used to do this thing when we first started going to this one soup kitchen up the street. We called it homeless bingo. It was kind of just to like, pass the time and everything, but it was like, different spots would be different things, like somebody talking to God, somebody talking just directly into the air, somebody yelling at security, somebody, like a fight, like, all these different things. You pretty much like, we'd go through the line, like sit in the line and then be like through it and be like, bingo. Like, it was kind of just something we did for fun, just to pass the time. But yeah, no, a lot of times it is mental health stuff. And then on top of that, I've seen a few people that, at least from what I can tell, don't have these mental health problems. They're just kind of a victim of circumstance and everything, like just everything that happened, kind of like how I am homeless. And
that's why I used to, I definitely, and I even still do sometimes, but I look down on homelessness or the thing that would never happen to me, or like.
That's what I always said. That's what I always said.
But recently, like the last few years, I've just been thinking about how much of life, like luck, is involved, or just like random things happening.
Well,
And I've just started to have a lot more like, sympathy or like
empathy.
Empathy,
yeah. Without a doubt, because like that, and that's what I told you. I realized was. I always looked down on it, and I always thought it was your choice. It'll never fucking happen to me. I'm not like that, And then like beyond that, other things. But like, I'm just like, no, never. And then it does, and you like have to like completely reevaluate stuff. Like how did you think about things? Like why did you think that way? And then like, and then realize that like, man, this shit can happen to anyone, man. It really can.
Especially right now with the.
COVID really brought it to a whole different like level. You know what I mean? Like without COVID, I wouldn't be homeless without COVID.
How much worse? How many more
I don't know.
How many more tents is that whole park going to be completely filled? What happens when that park gets filled? Is there going to be another one? Or?
Yep. You haven't seen that? We can walk around later and I'll show you. They're all filling up, bro. I'll show you tents in every one that we go to. They're filling up everywhere. And it's just, I don't know what the solution can be to it, man. Because like really, like, I lost work because my work was in the hospitality industry, and the places I worked at, nightclubs and stuff like that, they're not functioning at the moment. It's just not a thing. Obviously, that's like a breeding ground for getting infected, So like, but like, what do we do though? Like, do we create different jobs for these people? Or like, how can you help them? I don't know. That's a really hard question, man. I would love to meet somebody that had the answer to that.
So would I, yeah.
But I honestly can't tell you, man. It's just like, I just tell you how it is, or how I see it.
I'm interested in your thoughts on this. From the research I've done so far in countries that don't have homelessness, like Finland, for example. Granted, it is extremely cold in Finland, but apparently their numbers have been decreasing because they've had a permanent housing program, like basically that's get homeless people off the streets by getting more permanent housing through a combination of like NGOs and state and city governments.
Yep.
And then the homeless person still has to sign a contract and pay a limited rent, but it's much smaller. And there's not, in the U.S. system, we have something called the, I'll probably be talking about this in the documentary.
Voucher system.
We have something called, the ladder, or the step system, where first you have to show that, you don't have an addiction, so you have to get into a shelter or something. Or to get out of a shelter, to get into some sort of housing, you have to show that you meet these certain criteria first.
Yes.
But housing costs are so expensive right now in cities.
Oh yeah, man. I mean,
that's the big deal in San Francisco.
I used to pay $2,500 a month for my apartment, man.
That's crazy.
I know, it's crazy, but like here, it is expensive to live. The thing is, in DC, they do this thing called the voucher system. So they're called vouchers, and a voucher is for an apartment, and it's for people in this kind of situations. The only thing is, like, I've known some people that have been on a voucher list for like 10 years. So it's like, they also have a thing called rapid rehousing, which, like, rapid is very loosely used. Like rapid might be a year. They'll do the same thing where, like, you get a place, and like rapid rehousing, what they do is for a year, they pay a certain portion of the rent. You're responsible for the rest. You're responsible for like maybe 30%, whatever, right? But after a year, they stop. And after that, you're responsible for everything, which is cool, man. If you gave somebody a year to get up on your feet, man, like, you should. I feel like I would want to make that work. But the vouchers are just literally like, it's like, here's your apartment, and like certain ones you'll pay like a certain percentage. Thing they do in DC too is every apartment building has to give a certain percentage of their apartments to a voucher system, where they get 30% of the rent. It is interesting, yeah. The thing is, it's not, I guess,
not enough?
Yeah, like, obviously, like, I mean, you see, it's obviously not enough. It doesn't mean they're not trying to a certain extent. So I can't like downplay that. I can't be like they don't, but like, it's just not enough.
There is a lot of people, putting in effort.
Yeah. It's like all the people that came out on
problem is getting worse, even with people putting in all that effort and all the donations you got on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
but it was all on that one day. So.
It was like on one day though, man, and then it was like, fuck. So like I was like, why don't you feel thankful and just, you know what, give me something next week when nobody's giving anything. Like come back, give me a meal then. Like I will feel 10 times more.
I almost get the sense that if we had more of a, just like us Americans, we just had more of a sense of like community, like also like neighborhood communities. Like, okay, this neighborhood, we're going to be doing stuff this week. This is like our neighborhood event.
It's like how we are, man.
Do you feel like you spoke about, a lot of times that is the positive thing about, no matter how you feel about religion, that is the positive thing about churches and like donations and charities is at least it is like kind of neighbors coming together and donating.
And they are trying to do something that hopefully is not selfish. They're giving to give. They just want to do that. It's not to gain anything else. No brownie points or anything.
Out of the donations or the help you've received, now that you've become homeless firsthand, like what do you think? What percentages? How do you think it breaks down in terms of places you received help from, like 50% government, 50% sort of charity or church, or? I'm interested to see who you think has been the most helpful out of all the
religious groups. So, and that's not just churches, mosques, stuff like that. Like every Sunday, there's people that come by and they'll drop off food Sunday morning. It's honestly one of our favorite meals because like it's really good, and it'll say like from your Muslim neighbors, and it's a certain mosque that does this, and they come by every Sunday. They bring us food, some water, some juice, whatever, and they keep it going, which is cool because it's like every Sunday we know that's coming in the morning, which also like there's a place, Miriam's Kitchen down the street, that does Monday through Friday, breakfast, dinner. Most places don't do that on the weekends. So like Saturday, Sunday is like kind of hit, unless you go to a church on Sunday. But like Saturday, a church group, I think from all the way out in like Rockville, comes down here and they give out this this paper bag that has like 2 bananas, 2 boiled eggs, 2 sandwiches, and like a water or something, you know, which is awesome. Or no, they give out a coffee actually, which is nice. So like, it's cool because like, you know, on the weekends it's kind of harder to get food because of the fact that a lot of places aren't open. But yeah, no, the religious groups, they literally come down and they look out. And like I said, that Presbyterian church that gives out the, you know, they help you out. And Grace Ministries, both. Like, it's churches, man. They've been helping a lot. They help you do laundry, take showers, get you food, everything. You know, so yeah, no, I've seen them help a lot more. I don't know if I would really say I've seen government really help me. I think DHS came mad like a couple of times and give out like blankets. But no, majority does come from church groups and like just people that want to, you know, give, like people that are volunteering or doing something nice, you know, charity people. You know, like a lot of the good clothes that I got were actually from some people that I think they worked at the State Department, and they told us like a month earlier, they were like, we're trying to put together stuff for you guys and everything. And then they came out one day and they just had like a huge table full of clothes and shoes and everything, and everybody out there got stuff. You know, like we all got things we needed. Like I said, Starbucks, like the Starbucks down the street. The manager there told me, she's like, I'm putting out a box for you guys, like not for us, but like for all of us, you know, for like people to donate jackets and, you know, just and whatever, anything, hand warmers, anything that helps, you know. So yeah, no, I've found it's a lot more people than the government that are helping, really.
At least that does make me feel so much, you know, not still a massive problem. It's getting worse, but
puts your faith a little bit back in humanity, doesn't it?
In people.
Doesn't it? I know. And that's what I was saying too, man. It's like the people are good. It's just it's our structure. It's the structure of everything else, our government and everything else. That's kind of like, I don't know, like just mess things up in a way, you know.
It's like I can't, you know, I'm patriotic. I love the United States, but it does feel like it's like I can't put my finger on it, but it just feels like, you know, things are wrong somehow. Or something's just wrong. It's like this isn't right when you're walking around. You know?
Yeah, just that little feeling of something isn't right shows you something isn't right, man. You know, it's like trust your gut. You know, you ever gone in somewhere and you had this feeling that was just like, this is a bad idea. Like whatever you're doing, I don't care what it is, or go somewhere, whatever. Did you ever have that feeling before in your gut?
I mean, okay. So
and then you went in there and something bad happened?
I will say, yeah, trust your instincts. That's true. I mean, your feelings can lead you astray. I should say that as well. You know, you can judge people, or you can have a feeling about something, and it won't be correct.
Sure.
But I just mean like an overriding sense, like a community sense of like, yeah.
That's what I mean too. Yeah, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally, man.
And I really liked what you and your wife said about how you know that if you started drinking, I think was it drinking or something, you know, if you started getting addicted to some drug or something, then you just know that you would. And I just found it inspirational that you're like, this is like a time to like, you know, either get like strengthened or to just get like, or you can just go into like total downwards.
Pretty much there's either time to get stronger and learn from this and get better, you know, like if anything, this has definitely strengthened my relationship and everything else, because man, if I can go through this, I can go, you know what I mean, you can pretty much go through a lot of other stuff too. So, you know, it's been really good in that sense. It's been horrible in many, but at least I can take away from it something positive, you know.
Yeah, that's a really
which is learning and understanding. You know?
I think that's like the healthiest perspective you could take, because you could completely just look at yourself as like something kind of I've learned about myself recently is I do like to feel like a victim. Like I get some like sense of enjoyment out of it.
Mm-hmm. Everyone does.
Yeah. But that would be such like a negative, you know, mindset to have.
There would be no if you're assuming that role now, pretty much means you think you're not the problem at all, like, or not the problem, but you're just the victim. So like, you don't have to do anything to make this better. It should just become better.
Yeah, it's like the world's fault almost. Right?
And nothing's gonna get better that way, man. We have to work towards it. you know? If I do nothing, I will stay in the same place.
Yeah.
If I'm constantly working towards a better tomorrow, then I get a better tomorrow.
Yeah, just maintain faith, and, that it's gonna.
Yep. Just
putting in effort.
Yep.
And it's true. I mean, it's true that it just always ends up being true in the long run.
I mean, that's all we can do, man.
Yeah.
Right? Just keep trying to work for it to be better, man, and do whatever I can do to improve it on my end. I'm hoping other people are doing the same. They may not be, but as long as I'm doing the right thing and working towards something better, I feel good about it. I don't have to feel like shit. I don't have to go to bed, feeling bad about my day or what I've done. I can be almost proud in myself that I'm working towards something better.
That's really healthy. I'm really glad to hear that. That's kind of, that's how I feel too about doing these interviews and documentaries and stuff, is like trying to, it feels meaningful because it feels like it's like, at least it's spreading information of how we can how we can just improve shit for everybody.
Or just making people aware in general.
Yeah, it's like if you're not aware of a problem, you can't fix the problem.
Exactly, and there's so many people that are not aware. They don't know. Sure, the people that come by, they see shit. But think about all the people that don't, man. You think about the people that live in out in the suburbs over there.
Also, if you're just doing your job, or you're just doing, I guess you see all the tents in the park, and you're like, what the hell's going on? But everyone's focused on their own little world too.
Yep. Without a doubt, man.
I don't know, any final words or anything? I don't know, you want people to know if just some random person comes across this interview on YouTube or something?
Try and be good people, man. Just try and help other people, man. Just try not to look down on people and judge them. Yeah. You don't always know other people's situations. You don't know what's going on with them. You can't just walk in and go, oh, you're a homeless bum. Just try and be more aware that, shit happens pretty much. And just because someone's in a certain situation doesn't mean they're a certain kind of person. That's about it.
Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome, bud.